Okay, is the screen visible? Okay, so yesterday okay, thank you everyone. So yesterday we started with Unit 2, that is School and Classroom Environment, wherein we started with our sub-unit 1, that is School as an institution with an environment of its own, wherein we saw how learning takes place, why is school is called an important space for the learners and both and teachers as well, which are the activities that we conduct in the school and in the classrooms, and why we call that particular space or that community as a learning community. And we have also seen which are the people who work behind the scenes in order for an institution to work. We also discuss the roles an institution plays in order to provide students a better environment to learn in the school as well as in the classroom. And what do we look at? How we strive for creating a safe, happy, and a wanted environment for the teachers, and also some environment which will be meaningful and professionally satisfying for the professors and the teachers who work there. Then we also looked at the physical environment and why it is how it is not given a it is not paid much attention to in spite of it being a very important component of the concept of school environment and classroom environment. And we saw the situations that prevail even in the conventional times, that how the classrooms are overcrowded, what are the situations right now in most of the schools in the country like India, and how insensitive or how unattractive the classes are, how uninviting are the situations in the schools and in the classrooms, uh, how the school design inappropriately designed school has an effect on the students and teachers' output and the classroom management. So I think we finished till here, and we saw how important is the physical environment in order to go ahead with a proper classroom management and how it can help boost our learning and teaching in a school setting. Okay, so now going ahead, let us see what as a student or what as an individual he or she expects when he or she joins an institution or joins a school. Now, you all can take your own example for that matter. So, when you thought of joining Nirmala's, you before joining in, you must have had a few expectations. Okay, some of them I think probably would get fulfilled, some might not. Okay, so as a student, what are the expectations of this? So these are the points which we will be discussing based on how policymakers look at the expectations. Okay, so we actually we actually do not go ahead and ask students what do you expect from this particular institution or what are your expectations from the school or from the institution, isn't it? So this is the perspective of how policymakers look at it. So usually, or we say that they want to be in a place that is colorful, friendly, peaceful. Colorful as in we are looking at a school environment. We are not talking about college environment because we are here to uh, become school teachers. We are here to, hello, can't you all hear me? Lency, am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So, I was talking about some of the students are joining in even now, so this is how it is interrupting the class. Okay, never mind. So we are looking at the school environment. So in that sense, the students who join the school or who are in a process of joining in any new institution, they definitely would want the place to be colorful. They would want the place to be friendly. They want to be accepted. They want to feel that belongingness. They want a peaceful environment, isn't it? This is a basic requirement. They usually expect a lot of open space, offering with small nooks and corners for them to chit chat with their friends, to play around. They would like to see animals, plants, flowers, trees around them, and toys in case of pre-primary or primary school if we talk about. So when I talk about plants, flowers, trees, so we can expect our school surroundings to be greener, isn't it? We expect our school surroundings to be more greener, habitable to the plants, to the animals, and the species which are endemic to that particular place. So that most of the schools, if you see now, they are converted into a concrete jungle in a way. Because they now what people look at when they construct a school building is they want a parking space for the faculty. Okay, they want parking space for the students. They want a parking space for students' parents, parking their cars, parking their vehicles, isn't it? This is the first priority. And the last thing that we look at is the environment that is surrounding the school, which is a very important thing. A parking space will not add any value to the classroom or the school environment, isn't it? But the environment, the plants, the animals, the flowers, the biodiversity of that place would play a very important role in that situation or the topic that we are discussing, that is school and classroom environment. Okay, so we need to change our perspective in a way. So let us not get into that. For now, let us see what else would the students expect. So now, in order to attract and retain children, the school environment must have all these elements in and around them. Okay, so this is what is required in order to attract and retain children. So now, if you are talking about GER, that is gross enrollment ratio in the schools, it's very less. And if you look at the GER, even at the higher education level, we tend to see that the GER, that is gross enrollment ratio, is drastically decreasing. Why is it so? What are the loopholes that we need to look at? So these are the things, these are the aspects as an educationist, as a person who look at education and wants to improve the system would discuss on, isn't it? So it's very important that we know what are the students' expectations. We know that these are the things that they expect, and it's our duty to provide them that so that it will help us retain those children in school. Now, when we talk about school, in the back of our mind, we imagine our own school, isn't it? From where we have done our schooling, isn't it? So, for each one of you, you all can relate the school from which you have come and have reached till here, wherein you are now aspiring to be a school teacher. Okay, so what were the situations in the school when you were studying as a student, isn't it? Whether they were in accordance to what we are discussing, were these expectations, were these expectations are these are the expectations that you all had, or you all didn't have any expectations, or you all were going to the school just because your parents were sending. Okay, there were different situations, different way you as a student or you as a teacher would think. But this is what is ideally required by an educationist to think on. So now what can be done when we have a situation like this wherein there is nothing working out for us? For example, first thing that we can go about doing is we can brighten the classrooms. Now, why brightening the classroom is more important? Now, just imagine, I don't know how many of you all would be comfortable sitting and studying in a place which is dark and which doesn't have enough light coming in, isn't it? So classrooms needs to be brightened. So it again links its existence to a concept called physical environment. Okay, so how your classes are planned, how where the windows are, how much of light is entering in the classroom. So when you enter in a class as a teacher, you need to look at whether your classes are having proper light, whether it is having proper ventilation, because these physical aspects, so light, ventilation, these again are physical aspects. If you pay attention to them, they play a very important role in your classroom environment, isn't it? And again, the second point, if we look at, they again can be made lively by displaying children's work. Now, what are the different works that the students carry out or the children carry out in the school? Like if you have a competition wherein they are supposed to make posters, charts, if they have prepared any worksheets, if they have done a project. Okay, you can choose to display some of the best projects, charts, worksheets, posters and display it around in the classroom. So how it will benefit the classroom environment, that the students will develop that feeling, the feeling that their work is appreciated, isn't it? If they do a good work, it will be displayed in the classroom. Other students, their peers, the other teachers, isn't it? The people who visit the school, the people who visit the class would appreciate their work. So they, in a way, are motivated to do something better. So this is how we can look and go about improving our classroom and school environment if we look at the physical aspect of it. So if we talk about physical aspect, which are the other things that comes to your mind? Physical aspect of a classroom. What are the other things related to physical aspect all of you all can think of? So I think each one of you, if possible, can just reply in the chat box the physical aspects of a classroom according to you. Briefly, you can just mention the term even. Like light, ventilation are the two. Apart from that, which are the physical aspects you all think are important in order to improve the classroom? And yes, the space, according to Rowena. I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. If not, I apologize in advance. Spacious, the space in the classroom, definitely, isn't it? So if you do not have enough space to move around, to play, to dance, isn't it? During your intervals, of course, and not during the classroom. Yes, Flossie is saying arrangement of benches. Valencia is saying desk, benches, space, room color. Very good. Charts, according to Mallappa. Then Josma is saying space, color. Greta, it should be, yes, congested. Okay, need to check a spelling of congested. Manford, benches, yes. Anjali Rodriguez, color of the class, yes. Arya Prabhupada is saying good construction, no leaking of water, yes. Good point. Rushka, Karmali, proper benches, blackboard. Apart from that, anything? I could see most of the common answers like benches, space, room color, charts. Yes. Anything else apart from that, which could be a part of a physical environment of a classroom? Cleanliness. Very good, Ninashka. Yes, it needs to be clean, isn't it? If you enter a class which is uh, like untidy, it's not, the benches are not placed properly, there is dust all around, we definitely not feel good, isn't it? You won't feel like sitting there and studying, neither the teacher nor the students. Yes, very nice saying display of timetable or code of the day. Very good thought. But that would be a part of something else, the aspect, but we can take it. Fan, definitely yes. For say in the summer season, you need to feel, in order to feel comfortable, you need proper ventilation. You need, yes, you need to feel comfortable. Audible classrooms, very good. I mean, Steve is saying smart boards if possible. Yes. Stefania, good furniture. Vaishnavi, there should be positive environment. Okay, this is again a part of another concept. Priscilla, clean and clear classroom, sitting arrangement, Makrina. Dhanushri saying classroom should be attractive, having all teaching aids AIDS, so that students feel comfortable. Okay, thank you so much for all your responses. And I'm very happy that you all are understanding the concept behind physical environment, because sometimes it's really difficult to make sense of what is physical and what is psychological. Because some of you all have mentioned those points which would come under a psychological factor which can help improve our classroom and school environment. Okay, so we can go and discuss more about it in the coming slides. So let us go ahead and look at the PPT. Now we have seen what are the things that we can do as a teacher or as a service provider. We are service providers in a way, isn't it? We are at service of our students. We need to give them a proper physical environment, a conducive environment to learn. And it is our duty indeed. So these must be displayed at locations. Now this is in relation to the work that the students do. Okay, so the work that the students do, we need to display at locations and heights that are physically and visually comfortable, accessible to children of various ages, isn't it? So in a school you have students from 5th to 10th standard, so they have their different heights, their physical stature, everything is very different, isn't it? So you need to place, you need to display the charts or the work which is readable and which is at a comfortable height and can be read even by a student who is studying in 5th and even by a student who is studying in 10th standard, isn't it? That's very important. And this can be changed with simple innovations, like with the combined efforts of the school teachers, administrators, and architects. So when we talk about or when we discuss such ideal things that we need to have in our schools and in our institutions, what is that is required? If it is not there, okay, and looking at the current situations that prevail, I can say that at least 60% of the schools, maybe more, even more than that, do not have such privileges for the children, at least a basic. It's not a privilege actually, it's a basic requirement that each school or each institution needs to have. So how we can go about changing the current situation, which is not so conducive for the students and which is not so appealing to the students, so that they feel like they should come to the school. We just need efforts. Efforts by whom? Efforts of the school teachers, efforts of the administrators, efforts of the architects. So we need to work hand in hand. And when we design a building or when we go about designing a building, we need to take care of all these things. So this aspect is related to a building which is yet to come. So what about those schools who are running already with their infrastructure, existing infrastructure? And not all schools have enough money, nor the funds to go about changing the structure of the school, the infrastructure of the school, and make it the way the policymakers want them to. But in a case wherein you have a school already, a school building already, which is not keeping in mind the terms that are required, what we can do is we can at least provide the best possible way, so we can change the school in the best possible way, in line with the expectations that are there by the students. Okay, that much at least is possible. For that, we need just the perspective and an effort from the stakeholders of the education system. Now, so what are the things that we can look at? So this is one of the aspects that each one of us needs to know, and it is a very practical thing to talk about. We can talk a lot of things about the expectations. We can talk a lot about what should be and what can be or what could be. But what it is at the ground level, whether it is really possible by the management of the schools, whether it is really possible by the government to actually implement all the things that we are talking and we are writing on paper and publishing it as a policy. Recently, we have come up with a new policy of education, isn't it? There are various things that we need to look at and really see whether it is really applicable and implementable or not. Okay, but that's not a point of discussion here. Like considering the first point, which is there in the slide here, is buildings are the most expensive physical assets of the school, and maximum educational value should be derived from them. So school building is, as already said, is the most expensive physical asset. So it is definitely not possible to come up with a new building as per the norms and the procedures laid down in the policy, just like that for everyone. Okay, for maximum of the managements. So it is important that at least we can look at changing the way it functions or the way it is used. And creative and practical solutions can be used. Okay, see, creative and practical solutions. This is very important. So with whatever that you have, how you can make better use of that is what we have to look at. So we have to be a bit creative. We have to come up with practical solutions to maximize the educational value. Okay, how we can do that? By repairing or upgrading existing schools or making new buildings. Sometimes, if it is possible. So the enhancement of the physical environment through this can bring about not just a cosmetic change, but also an inherent transformation in the way that physical space connects with the pedagogy and the child. So it is much evident and it is proved and it is published that physical environment plays an integral role in the way we look at, in the way in order to improve maybe our school and classroom environment. So it does play an important role. And it says that if you go about improving the physical environment, it is not just a cosmetic change, as in you don't just make your building beautiful or attractive, but you also bring about a transformation in the way it relates to the pedagogy and the psychology of the child. So it has what is called an inherent or a nurturing effect on the overall education system in a way. It may not be visible directly, but yes, it does make an important uh, impact on the in a way by which the student would look at the school system and the education system overall. So this was all about the physical environment. So now the further points that we would be discussing are a bit to the point, as in what is required for each aspect of physical environment. Like in many parts of the country, schools and classrooms have large permanent displays painted on the walls. I don't know how many of you all uh, uh, have seen this, but some of the schools, and if you talk about the primary schools, they have their walls painted with permanent displays like a tree or something, a ground, or where the students are playing, or something like that. So, what are the things with related to? So, what are the things that we need to change about such paintings in the school? Why are we discussing a point like this here? Because I have not, this is not something which I am telling you, it is something which is required for all of us to know, and it is a part of our policy. Because this is a condition that is prevailing in most of the schools of India. So such regions are overstimulating. I've highlighted the term overstimulating. We'll discuss on it a bit later. And with time, they become monotonous and cease to enhance the quality of the space. So if you enter a place for a year continuously, and if you just have a single common, the same painting on the wall, and after some time you tend to get bored, you feel, you start feeling monotonous. There is nothing new that is happening. So, in order to avoid that monotonous environment, in order to avoid that overstimulating environment, we can opt out with those painting on the walls, and we can go about choosing such frames or such charts or displays which can be removed and changed over a period of time, so that it changes the entire look of the class, okay, and it develops an interest in the students to come to the class and sit and learn there. Instead, smaller size, judiciously chosen murals may be a better way of adding color to the school. So, since we are talking about a physical aspect related to the school, it plays a very important role. Now, most of the wall displays areas should be utilized for children's own work or charts made by the teacher, and this should be replaced every month. This is what I just said. And preparing such wall displays and participating in putting them up can also be a valuable learning activity for children. So you can take this up at least once in a month. You can go for changing the displays, because every month you will definitely conduct at least one activity of which will have different outputs with you, as in the form of a chart, in the form of a worksheet, a painting, or something, a chart or worksheet in a way. So you can choose to display them every month and change them every month, so that it also it can be also considered as one of the learning activities for children.